Welcome to PRSU Wellness. This show is by chiropractors and for chiropractors, helping you with practical science for better patient results, physiology and labs, rehab and exercise, supplements and nutrition, unfounded trends, no opinions, just science. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to the PRSU Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Callerina Woodard, and today we're going to take a deeper dive into the supplement industry. I think it's extremely important to understand supplement dosing, how supplements are regulated, and then how they come to the market, so that we can not only make the best recommendations to our patients, but we can make sure what we have for ourselves and in our office is the best quality possible. Because when it comes to supplements across the industry, there can be a huge variation in quality, in additives, and in dosing. So let's get into some more of those specifics. So in my early days as an athlete, I was marketed all types of magic pills and powders that promised me better recovery, stronger muscles, better sleep, better ability to digest carbs, all kinds of things were marketed to me. Luckily, I had some really great mentors in my corner that pointed me more towards the food aspect of that. And then also educated me on how supplements were regulated, because I was drug tested all the time. So we have to assume that our patients are being marketed the same sorts of things on social media. What are all the influencers using? So that's why it's so important that we understand testing, quality, and regulation whenever our patients come to us with this new supplement that they're taking, or whenever we're going to recommend something to somebody. Supplements are widely used. If you go in almost any and every grocery store, you're going to see a supplement, but they're not very well understood because when it comes to the quality and the dosing, they can vary dramatically across the market. And the regulation of supplements is a lot different than it is for pharmaceutical drugs. So we need to be able to evaluate each supplement that we're going to recommend so that we're actually making the right recommendations for our patients. Now, a supplement is defined as anything that supplements or is in addition to our diet. These can include things like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, probiotics, herbs, botanicals, you name it, anything you could get from your diet for your health, you're going to be trying to get that from a supplement. This can also include things like fillers, additives, things that can actually alter how the good ingredients that we're trying to get from our supplement react in our body. Some patients, I've talked to several patients, have reactions to certain fillers and additives that are marketed, they're on the label, but they're more that proprietary blend. So you don't see the amount in them, and then our patients can react to those supplements. So keep in mind, this is what supplements, and this is what we need to educate our patients on what supplements are supposed to be. But that's not it. There are often hidden ingredients within those supplements. Now, since the beginning of human history, we got our nutrients mostly from food. We ate nose to tail of everything that we hunted. We caught fish. We got our nutrients from things grown in very dense, rich soil. That was how our nutrient needs have been met throughout history. I can't leave out the fact that in some ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, of course, the Chinese, all kinds of cultures have used some type of Ayurvedics, herbs, different plants for healing. But it wasn't until the early 1912, 1910 that we actually discovered what a vitamin was, and that it's actually something important for our health. And then these started hitting the market more. Every time I think of this, I think of the I Love Lucy Vitamina Vegemin realm. Like my grandparents, my great-grandparents did not take supplements. They got most things from foods. They were also very supplement or dietary deficient during that time, but it was pretty recent that we discovered vitamins, and then we identified that certain vitamins have something to do with some kind of deficiency diseases like scurvy, and vitamin C, like pellagra, like rickets and vitamin D, like folate and neural tube defects, iron and anemia, things like this. That was around the 1920s and 1940s that we first started discovering that nutrients, vitamins, minerals had something to do with our diseases. And then these things were never really closely regulated until the DSHEA, Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, came about. Now, that wasn't purely to regulate them. It was to educate the consumers on the market about what were in their supplements. So this kind of got the ball rolling for the supplement industry. But then it came to third-party testing and a couple of other organizations coming along to really regulate it a little bit more. Because when it comes to supplements are more regulated like a food. Think of lettuce. Lettuce hits the shelves. It's not until it starts causing E. coli and these huge outbreaks that the FDA steps in and takes it out. Supplements are pretty similar, but when it comes to like pharmaceuticals, things that are really heavily regulated, are supposed to be, they require FDA approval first, and they also require some sort of clinical trial. They have to make effort towards supporting their claim of what their prescription is going to do. And then before it hits the market or the consumers, it's at least been looked at a little bit more. Supplements, it's not until they usually cause some kind of issue or raise some kind of concern that the FDA steps in. That's usually, and I'll get into this a little bit more, that's usually supplements that can cause heart issues, stimulants, or other types of immune system issues. But there are companies that do step in to regulate claims. Like if you're going to claim that this is going to boost your immune system by 100%, there are companies that are out there that are supposed to be regulating to make sure you're not just making false claims. You're not making a claim that says this pill right here for athletes can make you an Olympian. That is at least regulated within the supplement industry. However, not as tightly regulated, so it can end up on TikTok as curing all of your wrinkles and then ends up in the hands of thousands of people as either a waste of money or a supplement that they don't need, or even worst case, something that can cause an adverse effect before it's ever completely regulated. So there are, when it comes to manufacturing standards, something called the Current Good Manufacturing Practices, GMP. You can see this on a lot of the more higher quality supplement labels, because this ensures that the identity of what is in the product is actually there, that it's pure, that it has the correct strength and composition. So it's looking more at, does this supplement have in it what it says? This company, GMP, or this practice says, does this supplement at least have in it what it says it has in it? So you're not, what your consumer or your patient or you are not wasting your money. However, it is not, this company does not support the claim of that. Meaning, if a supplement claims it's going to 100% heal your adrenal glands, that's not this company's job. This company's job is just to make sure what is in that supplement is actually in that supplement, and then it's pure, and that the proprietary blend doesn't have anything crazy within it. This is where, because it's not super regulated, if a company wants to take a step forward, they get third-party certification. Now, this is what I always looked for as an athlete. Was this third-party tested? There are so many supplements on the market that are not third-party tested. So a third-party certification verifies not only the identity of what's in it. If I'm taking a creatine supplement, it is purely creatine. There's nothing in there that's going to make me stronger on accident that I'm going to fail a drug test for. It also makes sure that the dosing and the strength is correct, because there are a lot of supplements on the market where the dosing is wrong. And then it's also free of contaminants. What are common contaminants? Pesticides, heavy metals. These are extremely common. If something is not third-party tested, that we find heavy metals or mold or pesticides. Herbs are heavily sprayed, guys. Vitamins can be heavily sprayed. So if a supplement is not third-party tested, it could have these X, Y, and Z things in it. And that would be why a patient say, well, this never helps me, or this actually made me feel worse. Well, let me see the quality supplement that you're actually taking, because it may not be the vitamin, the mineral, the amino acid, the probiotic. It may not be the herb within it. It might be what's been done to that product, or what's been added into that product, or the dosage of that product. So these are all variables that we have to keep in mind. When it comes to safety, these are bioactive compounds. All of our supplements are. They're doing something to our body. So while they mostly would seem harmless, like what can happen with you taking a magnesium supplement, or what can happen with you taking a vitamin B, in the wrong dosage, they can 100% cause issues. There was a study done pretty recently where over 23,000 ER visits annually were related to supplements. And these are usually because of stimulants, gas station stimulants, or pre-workout stimulants, weight loss supplements, or in the elderly and in kids, choking, swallowing complications, because they're large capsules typically. Different types of capsules do make a difference. I am going to get into that a little bit more on the next presentation that we do. But keep in mind that there are still risks to supplements. They're not just like, oh, here, just go take this. These are common causes of issues, and they're typically in the bodybuilding, weight loss, pre-workout, workout industry that we see these kind of things. So over 700 different supplements have been found to contain some type of pharmaceutical drug. This is where I was always terrified as an athlete. This is where anyone who gets drug tested should be scared, because as an athlete, I was marketed into the bodybuilding category. I wasn't a bodybuilder, but still athletic performance, muscle strength, endurance, recovery. These kind of things, if not properly regulated, do sometimes contain pharmaceutical drugs. So you want to see where your supplement's coming from, the factory it's coming from, of course, the country that it's coming from, the packaging, all that kind of stuff matters. But keep in mind, that's why the third-party testing is so important, because it rules out that there isn't something in it whenever you are taking a supplement that you should not be taking. I see it all the time. There are very common health supplements that for some reason will just toss caffeine in there. Not for some reason, because they think that, or their claim is that the caffeine will open up the capillaries and open up the vessels more for better nutrient and drug delivery. However, there can be other stimulants in there that actually they're trying to make the supplement, the active compound, have more of an effect. So they hide different things, different pharmaceuticals in there. I've seen it before, years and years ago. I believe that it's becoming way less common now. You may have seen some of those supplements in the 90s, especially, were not 100% pure and free of pharmaceutical drugs, and those cause a lot of issues. So while it is less common now, we still have to keep that in mind. There are also counterfeit and fake supplements. As a chiropractor, I hear about it regularly from my doTERRA or Young Living mamas. Don't buy any oil from this next day delivery company, because they can be tampered with. There are a lot of knockoffs out there, and I have seen it before where I recommend this supplement to this person. That person takes and looks at that supplement and they say, oh, I can find that for a deal, and just add it into my cart and actually have it here tomorrow. And then they bring in that supplement and I look at it and I'm like, it looks the same, but it's different. When it comes to things like this, it can have incorrect dosing. So it's going to be either like magnesium, for example. If you take too much, it's way off. It can cause diarrhea. If you take too little, it's not going to be nearly as effective as I would want it to be. This can go with probiotics as well. Too much or too little. This can go for a variation of different supplements. Also, there there was a recent study, I mean, within 10 years, but even more recent from that, there have been studies that show that omega-3s, which we recommend regularly. I recommend omega-3s regularly to my patients, especially my pregnant moms. Omega-3s have a huge likelihood of being rancid or bad or having almost more of an omega-6 or overly oxidative component to them than they do having a omega-3 healthy fat component. And that has to do with the fact that certain supplements like omegas are very sensitive to light, to heat, to sitting on the shelf for too long. So it can be in the counterfeit supplement categories. If they're buying it in massive bulk, they're probably not getting the right dosage of something like omega-3, but it can also make them sick, and it can be making them less healthy. So keep that in mind as well. This is why dosing matters. I mentioned magnesium. Too much, too little, not going to be as effective. Omega-3, same thing. Choline. Oh, this is so important. And I'm going to mention food and how we can get some of these things through food. But different supplements, keep in mind that the dosing does matter. Too many amino acids, if it's not, and rarely do they overdo it, but if it's not properly dosed, it can cause GI upset. Or more likely towards the other end, amino acid supplement or an herb too little dosed because they're trying to skimp on products, it's not going to be as effective. It's not going to be effective at all if it's not correct in some ways for athletes, for your patients, for health. So that's why this third-party testing is so important. And that's why I really understand the quality of a supplement is super important, because dosing does matter. And a lot of things that we just get in the grocery store that we can grab at some of those big box name stores or online could not be dosed properly if they're not tested properly. And even if they do look correct on the label, I always err towards the side of buy it from the manufacturer that already has all of their testing on their website. Throughout history, I'd mentioned that all humans have gotten, for the majority of history, gotten our nutrients from food and plants. All the nutrients that we needed. However, most of us know this, modern agriculture has drastically changed the nutrient availability. The nutrition that was in an apple 50 years ago is no longer in an apple now. And that has to do with monocropping. That has to do with massive depletion of resources for our fish, for our animals. Our animals don't even have the nutrient density that they used to, the omega. We've tested all of this out too. So this is why now supplements are becoming such a more important thing in our society, and we're seeing deficiencies all over again. We're fed, we have plenty of food, but our food quality has taken a plummet, and our nutrition, our nutrients are not as widely available as they used to be. So that's why supplements are becoming so much more common, and that's why things like B vitamins, we're enriching certain foods because it's no longer in the foods anymore, because the food isn't the original quality and original context that God made that food to be. So for example, here's some examples. There are still, and it's the more expensive route to go, you can find high quality foods, wild caught, Alaskan salmon the way it's supposed to be. That's where we get our omega-3s. 10 times more omega-3s in 4 ounces of salmon than in 6 ounces of grass-fed, grass-finished, beautiful beef. Salmon is where we get our omega-3s from. So if someone's not eating salmon regularly, but they still have a healthy diet, we may need to supplement some omegas. Same with eggs and choline. Choline is recommended for so many things, but especially for our pregnant mamas, for the development of our baby's nervous system. Lentils, of course, have folate, but they also have iron, and it's so much better whenever we can get that from a diet because our body can break it down better and it doesn't cause as much GI upset as a supplement with folate or iron. And then leafy greens, they do contain magnesium, not as much as they used to, And we now know that processed foods and stress are depleting magnesium from our body. And people are not eating enough leafy greens anymore. So magnesium supplementation has become much more popular. When it comes to the clinical decision making, this is how I like to think of things. If I have a nutrient need, can I get that mostly from diet? Can I spend however much money it's going to cost to get the best quality salmon and high quality omegas? If I can get it from food, that's the preference. So if you can get your more magnesium from food, if it's a supplement deficiency that's just slight and you know that a diet alone can fix it, you need to educate that patient on the best quality of food, because we would always rather see someone getting quality food and nutrients due to the extra enzymes, the extra cofactors, the extra fiber and minerals and nutrients encased around that one specific nutrient whenever we get it from food. But if it's just not on the docket for you or someone to be able to get that nutrient enough from food, then you need to evaluate the supplement that you're going to give, the supplement that you're going to recommend, best quality and dosage for that patient specifically. And this is important. Just like with medications, you don't want anybody taking something for the rest of their life. You need to reevaluate that need eventually. So have it in your plan of, in 6 months, we're going to reevaluate to see if this is something you do still need to continue to take, or have you been able to, alongside the supplement, increase the diet that contains the supplement so we can either take less or eventually not need that at all. There are different ways to test this so that we're not taking a supplement forever. There are certain supplements that we just cannot get from our food anymore. Again, I'm going to talk about that in the next recording, but for the most part, let's err on the side. Let's be those doctors that push towards lifestyle and diet so that we don't have our patients with a drawer full of pills and a handful of pills that they have to take every morning. We need to educate them more on what kind of quality food can we do instead? Can we use instead? And some of the things you don't always need. Going back to the marketing part, you can be marketed something and you're like, you know what? You actually don't need this. Here's the core nutrients that your body needs to be optimal and to thrive. All these other things are just extra. They're just for your skin, hair, and nails. You need these other things that are more important if we're gonna really figure out what the most valuable piece of that might be. If you get nothing else other than this from this longer, I know I'm not recommending the cool new supplements, but if you get nothing else from this presentation, it's how to identify high quality and low quality supplements. You need to see third-party testing, NSF, the CGMP, the good manufacturing practicing standards within that supplement, very obvious, transparent label and dosing, no wild, crazy proprietary blends that you don't really know what's in there, clear ingredient sourcing, where do they get their vitamins, minerals, herbs from, and it be a reputable, high-grade brand, not being put somewhere that it could have been stuck on the shelf for years and years and years or tampered with. These are all things that are really important. And then when it comes to red flags, you've got to look to make sure they're not hiding ingredients or dosage. Making wild, unrealistic health claims are extremely low prices, because sometimes low prices means low quality. And supplements can be expensive. That's why we try to err towards food and then optimizing our gut's ability to digest those foods. If there's no third-party testing, I'm wondering, what are you hiding? What could be in that supplement? And if it's purchased again from an unreliable realtor, unreliable stores, places where it could have been sitting on the back of the shelf for years, or tampered with or replaced with something else and just kept in the same bottle, you see that all the time. These are all things that you need to be able to look out for. At the end of the day, you have to understand that supplements are a tool, not just a shortcut for a healthier lifestyle or a better diet. There can be a lot of wasting of money and health issues with taking unnecessary supplements or poor quality supplements. So understanding how supplements are regulated, the importance of dosing, the importance of where you get your supplement from, these are all keys and should be the foundation so that whenever we start to recommend supplements, we're recommending it in the right way, not just as fillers or additives into a poor diet. Thank you so much. I hope that this really helped broaden your knowledge on how supplements are made, what's all on the market, so that whenever we take our next step in understanding more specifics on supplements, we have a really solid foundation.